What's up, y'all? It's Cody, back with a deck profile for the Bystial Synchro list that I'm playing into Cyberstorm Axis format. And while we're still waiting on a ban list to decide what the non-engine cards should really look like, I think the brunt of what the main deck should be doing is pretty well decided now. And you'll notice that I said Bystial Synchro instead of Bystial Dragon Link. It's because we have cut the rocket engine entirely to focus much more on a Synchro line that gets a lot of advantage and a lot of interruptions just on its own. So without further ado, we're going to jump into that deck profile now, starting with the Bystial engine, which is the same as ever, save for one new card. And that is our trap card branded Etude, or Etude of the Branded is how they localized it for us. Just as a quick primer, it is a quick effect at any point during the turn, unlike Beast, where it's during the main phase only. It's a quick effect to Synchro summon using at least one dragon monster on the field. And this is fantastic for playing under cards like Dark Ruler and Forbidden Droplet and things like that, where it's a trap card that can respond to those cards most of the time, and it will then put a monster on board after they've resolved. And a lot of the new synchros that came out in Cyberstorm Axis really put a lot more power into that kind of setup. And then the only other thing to really talk about is the 3 Lubellion, which is always a point of contention as far as how this deck should be built. I just really value being able to get into this Bystial line as consistently as possible. And even though the new synchro line that we're going for accesses the Lubellion a lot more consistently, it's still the most important card to see during the course of the combo, especially now that we're not going to be leaning on the Rokkets to give us like a Borlud Savage or anything like that. So we'll move on to the more generic Dragon engine. Obviously, we've got the 3 Seifer, the 2 white and black dragons. These are mainstays of the deck. Seifer is just a fantastic card, and this gives further validity to playing Seifer. I don't think we need to discuss Seifer too deeply. Moving into some of the new cards that we're playing 3 of Ringo Worm, which is an absolutely crazy card and the main facilitator of all of our new synchro plays. So Ringo Worm is a level 2 dragon tuner that can special summon itself if there's a normal monster on the field. And if a synchro summon has happened and it's in your graveyard, you can banish it from graveyard and make a token that is a level 2 worm that can be treated as a tuner or treated as a non-tuner. And this gives a ton of flexibility and extension to the deck, using a lot of those new synchro monsters again. Some of the other new inclusions for the deck, although calling some of them new inclusions is a little funny, but we have Stardust Trail. This is a level 4 Diabolos, basically. When you tribute a monster, this will be able to special summon from hand or graveyard. The only difference is it'll banish itself when it leaves the field after using that effect. So it's kind of like a Brotar mixed with a Diabolos. But this, along with the Ringo Worm, gives you a lot better access into your synchro plays. Being a level 4 light is very important for those synchro lines, and we'll get more on that in just a moment. Playing Destrudo, and these next few cards are going to be focused on emulating what the Rocket engine was giving us. So Destrudo is our replacement for Caliber, where for Dragon Ravine, you could have sent Apsarouter to add the Caliber, and then Caliber was able to special summon to Striker Dragon's Link Arrow or Pisty's Link Arrow to set up the arrow plays for the Pistia Revive and all of that. Destrudo does that in like 1.5 cards. You do need one body on board with a level that it can target, but that's any Bystial, that's any low-level dragon at all, basically, in the deck. So this plus any extender gets you your Pisty setup, essentially. And then we are playing 2 vanilla monsters. We've got Alexandrite Dragon, which is just a level 4 light dragon, and we've got Galaxy Serpent, which is a level 2 tuner dragon. And these two, along with Unexpected Die, are replicating our quick launch, essentially. You do have to open the Unexpected Die since you have to control no monsters to resolve its effect. However, it opens up playing both of these opens up lines with Sayfair as well as with Ringo Worm. So it makes the deck a little more 2-card combo reliant, but your 2-card combos are much wider and much more open to variations. And I've been very, very happy with these cards. And even like hard drawing these cards isn't the worst thing, just because it still combos with your other pieces, or it gives you fodder for your Bystials to start Bystial plays. Moving along, we've got some of the older dragons that we were playing before. Brotar, Dragon of Armageddon, Darkness Metal, and Noctivision. I think these are just the best remaining like dark dragon extenders that we have in the deck. Brotar feels like it shouldn't come up as much as it does, but it really does matter a lot to be playing Brotar, especially with a tomb giving us a light dragon to target, and light dragons are much more important for us to find moving forward in this build. Chaos Emperor, we're also banishing a lot more cards now because of the combo lines that we're taking, so Chaos Emperor is allowing us to access the extra deck a lot, or not the extra deck, but rather our banished cards a lot more consistently. Darkness Metal obviously is our seals target in the event that they Nibiru us on seals, and we were able to extend past that. Noctivision is probably the most cuttable of these 4 cards, but every time I've cut Noctivision, I've missed it. And just like the free body and the free draw that you get off of Noctivision, especially now that we're not going to be drolled on our Striker Dragon, but rather on our Romulus, is really valuable. So you could really consider cutting these 2, but I think these 2 are absolutely essential. And you will probably notice we're no longer on Chaos Dragon Levianeer, which is a very, very sad departure, but we've just lost too many dark monsters to make its hand rip effect viable, and we are honestly putting a lot of cards out of our graveyard, and putting 3 more out of the graveyard kind of limits what we're able to do. I would like to still figure out a way to make Levianeer work, but for now I'm not seeing it. So moving to our spell cards, obviously we had the 3 Unexpected Die, which we've discussed already. Got the 3 Chaos Space, which will always be in the deck, and the 1 Dragon Ravine, which will always be in the deck. Then non-engine, we are looking at 8 cards only, which sounds like very few, but the deck's engine naturally plays through Interruption pretty reliably. It's pretty hard to stop it once it gets rolling. But we have 3 Gamma just to punish Droll, punish Shifter, punish those kinds of cards, punish Ash Blossom on our Chaos Space. We've also got Called By to further insulate our starting plays, and then triple Droll and Lockbird, because this is the single best hand trap in the format. So that is our main deck. We are at 43 cards right now. Bit of a goofy number. I've thought about adding more non-engine, like Triple Tactics Talon is one card that's very much on my mind. Adding maybe more extenders could also be an option. But for now, I was very comfortable with how this list performed, and we will get into the extra deck to give more ideas as to what we're doing with the deck. So we've got the standard Dragon Link Fair, outside maybe Triple Burst, and this is probably the most cuttable card as far as the extra deck goes. It's really between this and Excel Stardust Synchro Dragon that you're, or Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon rather, that you're looking at for this 15th slot. And there's justifications both ways. It's just a matter of like how much you value enabling Pisty and getting access to cards that are in your graveyard and banish already. But Excel Synchro does come up quite a bit. So that is definitely an unresolved decision, I suppose we'll call it. Otherwise, I guess I can still talk about Saryuja. Saryuja is still an enabler for the deck where if we don't see Ringo Worm off of our opening combo but still want to be able to get into that line, Saryuja is a way to dig deeper into it and also to just force it on board with its own special summon from hand effect. So Saryuja is still super valuable in my mind and just one of the best cards for the extra deck. A tomb actually becomes really, really important as well because it is a light dragon and we need a light monster on board for the main Ringo Worm combo. And this also accesses the Ringo Worm. So a tomb becomes a very valuable member of the team. We'll jump into synchros now. We've got our 2 Omni Negates, Baron de Fleur, and Borreload Savage. You want to end on one of these just to protect against like back row hate, evenly matched, those kinds of cards. Although they are becoming less prominent in this upcoming format, you still want to be ready to answer those cards, basically. And then we've got our 2 new boss monsters from Cyberstorm Access. We've got Chaos Angel, which is just an absolutely insane card. It reads custom. Using a light and dark monster, which we are basically always doing with this card, makes all of our synchro monsters unaffected by monster effects, and all the monsters on our field indestructible by battle, which makes it very hard to actually break through our board and start to punch for damage. And then Chaos Angel is just a 3,500 beater that sits on the field constantly. And then Bystial Despotter is an extension. It's a monster negate, it's a monster pop, so it's either Ghost Ogre or it's Effect Veiler, depending on whose banished cards you're shuffling back. So it shuffles back cards from Banish that lets you recycle pieces of your engine. It also special summons from Banish, from either Banished as well, meaning it's an extender. So it is doing absolutely everything, and the fact that it is a Bystial monster means that Branded Regained actually gets us access to this guy on our opponent's turn. So we're free to link it off and then put it back on the board after the fact, once our opponent, commits to the board and uses their board breakers and things like that. So we're able to use this as another means of like playing past Dark Ruler type cards. And then the centerpiece of the entire deck now is Muddy Mud Dragon to Fusion for Albion. So this is why we need a light monster on the field. This is why we need level 2 and level 6 monsters so much. And Albion will then fuse us for Grand Gignol, which will give us access to Despian Lulu Lilith. There we go. And Lulu Lilith is just another Omni Negate that we can put on our board after the fact, because Grand Gignol just triggers in graveyard, banishing itself to summon this from extra deck when an effect to special summon a monster is activated. So just to demo out that specific line to show you why we're valuing it so highly, let us grab our cards. We're going to work with a Ringo Worm, a Black Dragon Clap Serpent, and we're going to assume that we were able to banish a light monster to summon this already. So we have these 2 monsters on board. We'll synchro summon those off, summon the Muddy Mud Dragon. Black Dragon Clap Serpent is going to grab us our White Dragon Wyvern Buster. We're going to banish the Black Dragon to summon this out, and then Muddy Mud is able to fuse to make our Albion, and then our Albion is able to banish these same 2 monsters to summon out the Grand Gignol, and our Grand Gignol is going to give us access to our Lubellion. Sending Lubellion off will then allow us to tribute over the Albion to summon the Lubellion out, places a branded beast on our field, obviously, and Albion in graveyard is going to give us access to the branded 2 during the end phase. And now, because we've synchro summoned this turn, we're able to banish our Ringo Worm and create a level 2 token, which we can then use with our Lubellion to synchro out that Bystial Despotter. Bystial Despotter is able to special summon out the Ringo Worm that banished itself. We're able to synchro these 2 off to make our Baron. Where's our Baron? There we are. So just with that 2-card combo, which is, Safe Air or Chaos Space or Black Dragon or any level 4 and a combination of another card, gets us to at least this end board, which is a 2 Beast, Despotter, and Baron, which is already 4 points of interaction, as well as a Macrocosmos on a lot of the extra deck plays that people would be making. And just any single extender, like if we went through Safe Air, we're able to add back that Lubellion, discard it, and get a Bystial. And a Bystial is able to summon, which will probably be Serenir, which gives us access to Regained as well. We can link that Serenir and that Despotter off for Seal. Then we're able to access the Despotter via the Regained. So hopefully that sells you on just how crazy this deck gets to be. And consider as well that because Grand Gignol is also in our graveyard, we have access to that Lulu Lilith, which is yet another Omni Negate. So we've got 5, 6, maybe 7 points of interaction just off of this combo line. All right, we will tidy that up and talk about the extra deck just a little bit. As I stated previously, I'm not entirely sure what the format is going to shape into, so the extra deck is kind of in limbo, deciding between answering past threats like Kashtira, Runic, and those type of things are the present threats of like Super Heavy Samurai, Manadium. Branded does a lot of the same things we're doing. So we've got the 3 Ash Blossom, we've got 3 Kaiju. We're looking at 3 Kurikara because this plays better into Super Heavy Samurais, and we're still able to apply it to the Kashtira matchup. We tried 2 Thrust and a Duster, just for like decks that are doing similar things to us with a lot of like continuous trap cards, continuous spell cards, so that we could Thrust into Duster and out all that before we start our plays. It worked all right, but I wasn't the biggest fan of Thrust just because we lack a good trap card to use for going first, but that's why it's in the side deck. It's more of a going second card specifically for this build. And we've just got that 3 Dark Ruler to give us more consistency in tandem with the Thrust to break boards like Super Heavy Samurais. And the side pattern basically is to take out a majority of the setup for Branded Etude. So like your Unexpected Dies, the normal monsters, maybe the Stardust Trail, 2 of the Lubellion, as per usual, which gives you what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 slots already, which is 5 and 3. So if you can find 3 more cards to cut, you get 11 cards into your deck after game 1. So the deck can side very aggressively and still have the majority of its main combo lines intact, which is pretty handy. Yeah, I've worked super long on this deck. I've gone back and forth between like Bystial Control or doing Dragon Link stuff, but I think this is a very handy, very consistent middle ground between those 2 diametric styles of this brand of like Bystial, whatever you want to call it. And I'm super happy to be playing this list. It is the most fun I've ever had on the deck. And I hope y'all give it a try. Hope y'all have success with it like I have. And I will catch you in the next video. Peace.